Session 34. Since my grandfather died and left her, there had been no one in her life except me. It was not easy for her. It was not easy for me either. Except for her, there was nothing to keep me in the village. I can see that day. The early morning, it was a beautiful winter's morning, and people from the village had gathered. Even today, in those parts of central India, things are not contemporary. They are at least 2,000 years behind. Nobody has much to do. Everybody seems to have enough time to rope around. I mean that everybody is a loafer. I simply mean the literal meaning. My whole family was there, which was a big crowd. They had come because they had to come. Otherwise, I could see no point in seeing their faces, which were then and are now faceless. But my poor father was there, my mother was there, my younger brothers and sisters were there. And they were all really weeping. Even my father was weeping. I had never seen him tearful. Never before. And I was not dying, just going 100 miles away. But it was the very idea of going away for 4 years at least, to get a bachelor's degree. Then what if I decide, and nobody knows, to stay 2 more years for a master's degree? Then a minimum of 2 more years for a PhD. It was a long separation. Perhaps by that time, many of them would not be in the world. But I was only concerned about my nanny, because my mother and my father had lived so long without me when I was so small. Now I could live on my own. I could help myself. I needed no help. But for my nanny, I can still see the early morning sun, the warm sun, my father, my mother. I touched the feet of my nanny and said to her, "Don't worry. Whenever you call, I will rush. And don't think that I am going far away." In those days, the fastest train did not stop at the poor village. I told her, "I will come running. 80 or 100 miles is nothing." She said, "I know, and I am not worried." She tried to keep herself as collected as she could, but I could see the gathering of tears in her eyes. That was the moment when I turned away and left for the station. I didn't look back when I turned the corner of the street. I knew that if I looked back, either she would burst out crying, and then I would never go to college, or if she did not burst out, she may even die, just stop breathing. I was so much to her. Her only existence was around me. I used to say to her, "Nani, you are mad. 24 hours a day you are engaged doing things just for me. Who is never going to do anything for you in his life?" She said, "You have already done it." I don't know what to make of it, and now there is no way to ask her. But the way she said, "You have already done it," was so powerful, with so much energy, that whether you understood it or not, You were overwhelmed. Even today, remembering it, I am overwhelmed. Later on, I came to know that when I turned the corner of the street, the whole neighborhood wondered. What kind of boy is this? He didn't even look. And my nanny was very proud. She said to them, "He is my boy. I knew he would not look back. And not only on the street corner, he will never look back in his life. And I am also proud that he understood his poor nanny, knowing that if he had looked back, I would have burst into tears." Saying an abrupt goodbye to Master is just like that. I cannot do it. I will have to come to a natural end with no full stop, just arbitrarily chosen, because my life is such that if I go on talking about it, there will be neither beginning nor end. The West has gone deep in search of the mind and has discovered layers upon layers, the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious, and so on. The East has simply put the whole thing aside and jumped into the pond, and the soundless sound, the no mind, and the East and West stand opposite. In a way, the opposition is understandable. The West has only looked into the mind without looking into who is looking into the mind. It is strange. The so-called great scientists are all trying to look into the mind, and nobody is bothered about who is looking into the mind. H.G. Wells was not a bad man, just a goody-goody. In fact, he is too sweet for my taste, a little too much white sugar. But still I should not consider my taste. You have your own tastes, and not everybody is a diabetic. I am not only a diabetic, I am also against white sugar. H.G. Wells, although very full of white sugar, is not just that. Once in a while he came up with an insight which was rare. His idea of time machine. He had the idea that one day a machine is discovered that goes back into time. Do you understand the meaning of it? It means you can go back into your childhood. The idea itself is great insight. I don't know whether there will ever be machines like that or not, but there have been people who could move back in time just as easily as you move. Do you have any difficulty in moving back to your yesterday? In the same way, the daring ones have moved into their yesterlives. Perhaps that may not be allowed, but I don't care. To me, yesterlife looks perfectly right. When anything looks right to a wrong man like me, then you can be certain it must be right. It has to be right. I suddenly said full stop to Master. But the whole day, he tortured me in a way. You know I cannot be tortured. You know I cannot be unhappy. But the idea that I had finished so abruptly again reminds me of one incident which is directly concerned with Master. I was at university a poor student. I reached university somehow by working at different kind of jobs. Again, just by coincidence, I participated in a national inter-university debate. One of the judges, who is now the head of the Department of Philosophy at Allahabad University, S.S. Loy, just fell in love with me. And the same was true from my side too. He gave me 99 marks out of 100. He was one of the judges in the debate. Naturally, I won. It was a very important debate. S.S. Loy gave me 99 out of the 100, and to everybody else he gave just 0. So I won. I asked him later, "Why were you so partial to me?" He said, "The moment I looked into your eyes, I became hypnotized. My wife also says that I am hypnotized by you. Otherwise, how could I do such a thing? If anybody sees your sheet, the partiality will be apparent." 99 out of 100 and simply 0 for all the other participants. I said, "No, I have not asked why you have given me 99%. That is your wife's question. Perhaps others may ask it too. I have come to ask why you didn't give me 100%. For a moment he looked at me astounded. Then he started laughing and said, "I was one of Master Baba's devotees. He was right when he said to me, 'Once you see this man, you will not need me.' And Master Baba told me this almost 2 and 3 years before he disappeared. Now I can truthfully say to you, I was not hypnotized. It was just that your eyes reminded me of his eyes. I have also seen Pagal Baba, and it is strange how your eyes are almost the same." I said, "It is not the eyes, it is the transparency which makes them appear to be the same. I am happy that you are reminded of Pagal Baba and Master Baba for a reason which to me is the greatest reward in the world, that in my eyes you saw something of the same. Now I have nothing to ask you except, why not 100%? He said, "I am a poor professor. If I gave you 100% and gave 0 to all the 11 participants, it would appear that I was not being fair. I am fair, but who would understand? Where would I find Master Baba or Pagal Baba to understand it? I gave you 99 just because of my cowardice." S.S. Loy was one of my most loved teachers for the simple reason that he was capable of asking me to stand up in class and explain something to him that he could not understand. And I had to do it. Once I said to him, "Roy Sahib," that's what I used to call him. "It does not look good that you ask me, your student." He said, "If Pagal Baba could touch your feet, and if Master Baba could not only touch your feet but had to feel every rational and irrational demand made by you, then why could I not ask? I am just a small man. I have known hundreds of professors as teachers, as colleagues. But S.S. Loy stands apart. It was so authentic that you could not find more authenticity in any teacher. And he was so much in love with what I used to say to him that he used to quote me in his lectures. And not just use it, but he referred to it as my statement. Of course, the other students were jealous. Even the other professors in the philosophy department were jealous. You will be surprised to know that even his wife was jealous. I came to know just by chance. One day I went to his house and she said to me, "What, you have been started coming here? He is mad about you. Since you have been in his department, our love life is shattered. It's on the rocks." I said, "I will never come to this house again. But remember, that will not put it right. One day you will have to come to me." And I never went to his house again. After a year or so, his wife had to come to me and she said, "Forgive me, please come. Only you can reconcile us." I said, "My work of separating or reconciling couples has not begun yet. You will have to wait." She cried and so I had to go. I didn't say anything to S.S. Roy. I just sat by his side holding his hand. And after an hour left, without saying a single word. And that did it. The alchemy worked. There is magic in silence. Session 48. I have never taken anything seriously. I cannot. Even at my own death I will. Still have a good laugh. You can catch snakes, but seriously people catch you. You have to run away from them as fast as possible. But I am fortunate that no serious person will even try to approach me. I quickly made myself notorious enough, and it all began when I was not even thinking where it was going to land me. Whenever they saw me coming, everybody was alerted, as if I was going to create some danger. For example, another incident from my primary school. I must have been in the last class, the fourth. They never failed me for the simple reason that no teacher wanted me in his class again. The one only way to get rid of me was to pass me on to somebody else. The station was 2 miles from my town and divides it from another small village called Chichili, 6 miles away. Chichili was the birthplace of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He never mentioned it, and there are reasons why he does not mention where he was born, because he belongs to the Sudra class. Just to mention that you come from a certain village, and the Indians are very uncultured about that. They may just stop you on the road and ask you, "What is your caste?" Nobody thinks that this is an interference. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was born on the other side of the station. But because he is a Sudra, he can neither mention the village, because it is a village of only Sudras. His full name is Maharishi Kumar Shrivastava. But Srivastava would put a stop to all his pretensions, at least in India, and that would affect others too. He has created his own name, Yogi. It does not mean anything. Anybody trying to stand on his head, and of course falling again and again, can call himself a yogi. Astra can be a yogi, and the name Maharishi is something to replace Swami, because in India things are such that if the name Swami is missing, then people would suspect something is wrong. He invented Maharishi. He is not even a rish. Rish means seer, and Maharishi means great seer. He can't even see beyond his nose. I have met him just by chance and in a strange place, Pahalgam. He was leading a meditation camp there, and so was I. Naturally, my people and his were meeting each other. They first tried to bring him to my camp, but he made so many excuses that he had no time. He wanted to, but it would not be possible. But he said, one thing can be done. You can bring him here so that my time and my scheduled work is not disturbed. He can speak with me from my stage. And they agreed. When they told me, I said, this is stupid of you. Now I will be in unnecessary trouble. I will be in front of his crowd. I don't have to worry about the questions. The only problem is that it will not be right for the guest to hit the host, especially before his own crowd. And once I see him, I cannot refrain from hitting him. Any decision I make not to hit him will be gone. But they said, we have promised. I said, okay, I'm not bothered, and I am ready to come. It was not very far, just a 2-minute walk away. You just had to get in the car and then get out again. So I said, okay, I will come. I went there, and as I had expected, he was not there. But I don't care about anything. I started the camp, and it was his camp. He was not there. He was just trying to avoid me as much as he could. Somebody must have told him, because he was staying in the hotel just nearby. He must have heard what I was saying from his room. I started hitting him hard, because when I saw that he was not there, I could hit him as much as I wanted to, and enjoy doing it. Perhaps I hit him too hard and he could not stay away. He came out giggling. I said, stop giggling. That is okay on American television. It won't do here with me. And his smile disappeared. I have never seen such anger. It was as if the giggling was a curtain. Naturally, it was too much for him, and he said, I have other things to do. Please excuse me, I said. There is no need. As far as I'm concerned, you never came here. You came for the wrong reasons, and I don't come into it at all. But remember, I have got plenty of time. Then I really hit him because I knew he had gone back into his hotel room. I could even see his face watching from the window. I even told his people, look, this man says he has much work to do. Is this his work? Watching somebody else work from his window? He should at least hide himself just as he hides behind his giggle. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is the most cunning of all the so-called spiritual gurus. But cunningness succeeds. Nothing succeeds like cunningness. He never mentions his village, but I remembered because I was going to tell you about an incident. This incident had come concern with his village, and my story is always going in our direction. Chichili was a small state. It was not part of the British Raj. It was a very small state. But the king was a king even though he could only afford one elephant. That's how they used to measure how much kingliness you had, by the number of elephants you owned. Now I have told you about the elephant gate that stood in front of the school. One day I approached the Maharaja of Chichli and asked, I would like to have your elephant for just 1 hour. He said, What will you do with my elephant? I said, I don't want your elephant. I only want to make the gate feel good. You must have seen that gate. Perhaps you even studied there yourself. He said, Yes, in my day, it was the only primary school. Now there are 4. I said, I want to make that gate feel good, at least once. It is called an elephant gate, but not even a donkey ever passes through it. He said, You are a strange boy, but I like the idea. His secretary said, What do you mean you like the idea? He is crazy. I said, You are both right, but crazy or not, I have come to ask for your elephant for just 1 hour. I want to ride it into the school. He liked the idea so much, he said, You ride on the elephant and I will follow in my old Ford. He owned a very ancient Ford. As I passed through the town on the elephant, everybody wondered, and people gathered saying to themselves, What's the matter, and how did this boy get the elephant? When I reached the school, there was a big crowd. Even the elephant found it difficult to enter because of all the people. And the children were jumping. Do you know where? On the roof of the school. They were shouting, He has come. He knew he would bring some trick. But this one is so big. The headmaster had to tell the peon to ring the bell, signaling that the school was closed. Otherwise, the crowd would destroy the garden. The school was closed. The elephant had entered and passed through, and I made the gate relevant. At least it could now say to the other gates, Once upon a time a boy passed through me on an elephant, and there was such a crowd to see it happen. Of course the gate will say, To see me, the gate. The Raja also came. When he saw the crowd, he could not believe it. He asked me, How did you manage to gather so many people so quickly? I said, I did nothing, just my entry into school was enough. Don't think it was your elephant. If you think that, tomorrow you go on the elephant, and I will see that no, not a single soul reaches here. He said, I don't want to look like a fool, whether they come or not. I would look foolish if I was sitting on my elephant for no reason in front of a primary school. You at least belong to the school. I know about you. I have heard about you. Now when are you going to ask for my food? I said, just you wait. I never went, although he had invited me himself, and it would have been a great occasion, because in the whole town there was no other car. But this car was too. What to say about it? Every 20 yards you had to get out and push it. That's the reason I never went. I said to him, what kind of car is that? He said, I am a poor man, a king of a small state. I have to have a car, and this is the only one I can afford. It was absolutely worthless. I still wonder how it managed to even move for a few yards. I said, right now I am not in a position to take your car, but someday maybe. I said it just not to hurt his feelings. In India they have such antique cars. What do you call them? Vintage. Once, by the way, the Raja and I accidentally met in the train, and he asked me, why didn't you come? I could not immediately remember what he meant by did not come. So I said, I don't remember that I had to come. He said, yes, it must have been 40 years ago. You promised to come and take my car to the school. Then I remembered. I said, wonderful, because he must have been about 95, and he still had such a good memory. After 40 years, why did you not come? I asked. I said, you are a miracle. I think if we meet somewhere in another world, the first question he will ask me will be the same. Why didn't you come? Because I again promised, saying, okay, I forgot, forgive me, I will come. He said, when? I said, you want me to give you a date for the car after 40 years? Even 40 years ago, it was a car in name only. What can have happened to it after another 40 years? He said, it is in perfect order. I said, great. Why don't you say it is just like new, as if it had just come from the showroom? But I will come. I would love a ride in the car. But unfortunately, by the time I got there, the Raja had died. Or fortunately, because I saw the car 40 years before, it used to go at least a few feet. But even if the Raja had been alive, the car was dead. His old servant said, you came a little late. The Raja is dead. I said, thank God. Otherwise that fool would have made me sit in this car, and it could not possibly move. He said, that's true. I have never seen it move, but I have only been in his service for 15 years, and it has not moved in that time. It just stands there in the porch. I said, the ride would have been really great, and very quick too. You would enter from one door and get out the other. No time wasted. But these visits to the school are still remembered by the few teachers still alive. And none of them believed that I could have been first in the whole university, because they all knew how I had passed from their class. It was all due to their favor or fear or whatever. They simply could not believe how I could get to be the first in the whole university. When I came home, all the newspaper reported it, with my picture saying, "This schoolboy has won the gold medal." My teachers were astounded. They all looked at me as if I were from some other planet. I said, "Why are you looking like that?" They said, "We don't believe it even now, seeing you. You must have played some trick." I said, "In a way you are right. It certainly was a trick." And they knew because all that I ever did with them was to play tricks. I went back to the primary school. I could not believe that everything had disappeared except the elephant gate. All the trees had been cut, and there had been so many beautiful flower trees. But not a single one was there. I had gone only for that old man, the peon, who had just died. He lived by the side of the gate next to the school. But it would have been better if I had not gone, because in my memory it was beautiful, and I would have remembered it that way, but now it is difficult. It looked like a faded picture. Perhaps even the lines are disappearing. Only one man had come to visit me in Pune, who had been my teacher in that school. Then too he had been very loving toward me, but I never thought that he would come to Pune to see me. It is a long and costly journey for a poor man. I asked, "What prompted you to come?" He said, "I just wanted to see what deep down I had always dreamed. That you are not what you appeared to be. You are somebody else." I said, "Strange that you never told me before." He said, "I myself thought it strange to tell somebody that they are somebody else other than who they appeared to be. So I kept it to myself. But it came again and again, and now I am old, and I wanted to see whether it had happened, or was I just a fool wasting my time in thinking about it?" By the time he left, he was a sannyasin. He said, "Now there is no point in not becoming a sannyasin. I have seen you and I have seen your people. I am old and will not live long, but even a few days as a sannyasin, and I will feel that my life has not been in vain." Session 50. I was telling you yesterday that I jumped from the tree that night, not to hurt the poor teacher, but to let him know what kind of student he had. But it went too far. Even I was surprised when I saw him so terrified. It was just fear. The man disappeared. For a moment I even thought to put an end to it, thinking, "He is an old man, perhaps he may die." Because he could not reach his house without again passing that tree. There was no other way, but it was too late. He had run away, leaving his pants behind. I collected them and went to my grandmother and said, "These are the pants, and you thought he was going to teach me this pair of pants?" She said, "What happened?" I said, "Everything has happened. The man has run away naked, and I don't know how we'll manage to reach his home. And I am in a hurry. I will tell you the whole story later on. You keep the pants. If he comes here, give them to him." But strange, he never came back to our house to collect his pants. I was simply introducing him to the ghosts, and it is good that his pants should hang on the tree. My father became so angry that I could do such a nasty thing. I had never seen him so angry, I said, but I had not planned it that way. I had not even thought that the man would simply evaporate. It is too much even for me. I just did a simple thing. I sat in the tree with the drum, struck it loudly just so that he would take notice of what was happening and forget everything else in the world. And then I jumped to the ground. And it was my usual practice. I had made many people run. In fact, my grandmother used to say, "Perhaps this street is the only street in town where nobody walks at night except you." The other day, someone was showing me a few car stickers. One was beautiful. It says, "Believe me, this road really belongs to me." While reading the sticker, I remembered the road that passed near my house. At least during the night I owned it. During the day, it was a government road, but at night absolutely my own. Even today I cannot see that any road could be as silent as that road used to be at night. But my father was so angry that he said, "Whatever happens, I'm going to cut down this neem tree, and I'm going to finish this whole business that you have been doing." I said, "What business?" I was afraid about the nails, because that was my only income. He was not aware of that, as he was saying. "This nasty business that you have been doing, making people afraid. And now that man's family continuously haunts me. Every day somebody or other comes and asks me to do something. What can I do?" I said, "I can at least give you the pants. That's all that is left. And as far as the tree is concerned, I tell you, nobody will be willing to cut it down." He said, "You don't have to worry about that." I said, "I am not worrying. I'm just making you aware so that you don't waste your time." And after 3 days, he called me to say, "You are really something. You told me nobody would cut down the tree. It is strange. I have asked all the people who might be able to cut the tree down. There are not many in this town, only a few woodcutters. But nobody is ready to do it. They say, 'No, what about the ghosts?' I said to him, 'I told you before. I don't know anybody in this town who will even touch the tree.' He said, 'I cannot depend on you because one never knows what you are planning. You may tell me you are going to cut down the tree, but you could do something else.' Why do I tell you this story? Because the tutor, on his first day, tried to impress me that he was a man of great courage, fearless, saying he did not believe in ghosts. I said, 'Really? You don't believe in ghosts?' He said, 'Of course I don't believe.' I could see he was already afraid when he said it. I had said, 'Believe it or not, but tonight I will introduce you.' Whenever I went to the town, I always visited his house to inquire, 'Has he come home yet?' They said, 'Why are you so interested in it? We have forgotten the whole idea of his coming.' I said, 'I cannot forget because what I saw had such great beauty, and I was only introducing him to somebody.' They said, 'To whom?' I said, 'Just somebody.' and I could not even finish the introduction. And what your father did was not at all gentlemanly. He just ran away of his pants. The wife, who was cooking something, left, and she said, I always used to tell him to hold his pants tight, but he would not listen. Now his pants are gone and so is he. I said, why did you tell him to keep a tight hold of his pants? She said, you don't understand. It is simple. He had all his pants made when he was young, and now they were all loose because he had lost weight. So I was always afraid someday he would create an embarrassing situation where his pants would suddenly fall down. I then remembered that he always kept his hands in his pants pockets. But naturally, when you meet ghosts, you cannot remember to keep your hands in your pockets. He did one more thing before he left. I don't know where he went. In this world, there are many things which are unanswerable, and this can be counted among them. I don't know why, but before he left, he put out his kerosene lamp. There is another question about that tutor which has remained unanswered. He was a great man in a way. I often wondered why he put out the lamp. Then one day I came across a small story, and it was solved. I don't mean that the man returned, but the second question was answered. His little boy would not go to the bathroom without his mother standing at the door, and if it was nighttime, then naturally she had to keep a lamp there. I was visiting the house and heard the mother say to the boy, can't you take the lamp yourself? He said, okay, I will take the lamp because I have to go. I can't wait any longer. I said, why use the lamp in the daytime? I have heard the story of Diogenes. Is he another Diogenes? Why the lamp? The mother laughed and said, ask him. I asked. He said, day or night, it does not matter. Ghosts are everywhere. When you have a lamp, you can avoid clashing with them. The day I understood why the tutor had put out the lamp before running away. Perhaps he thought if he kept the lamp on, the ghost would find him. But if we put it out, at least they could not see him and he could touch and escape. But he really did a great job. To tell you the truth, it seems he always wanted to escape from his wife, and this opportunity was his last.